Welcome back to another edition of the Pagcast. I'm your host, Michael Pagani, joined alongside Windsor Spitfires forward Ethan Miedema. Ethan, welcome to the Pagcast. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on.
How are you doing recently?
Pretty good. Obviously just coming off our two big wins, or obviously beat Kitchener, lost to Sarnia, but two solid games, and came out with a win yesterday versus Kitchener, which was awesome.
I mean, you guys grabbed a possible 3 of 4 points, right? So that's always good.
Yeah, for sure.
How would you describe the road trip against, going Sarnia, then Kitchener? How would you describe that road trip?
Yeah, Sarnia, that was a battle of a game. We didn't get any points there. They beat us in regulation.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, it was a tough game. They obviously came up on top, but bounced back versus Kitchener a few days later. And I think it just came within the group to kind of bounce back to the hot start we were having, and continue what we're kind of working towards here.
It seems like you guys in Sarnia are going to have so many battles. Like last year in the playoffs, it seems like you guys are lining up again to face in the playoffs this year. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, that's it's funny you say that. Like, we played them so much last year. Obviously, probably the closest team to Windsor. And then playing them last year, beating them in 6, and then obviously playing them in preseason. Like, it seems like I've been to that arena 10 times, and I'm only 80 regular season games into my OHL career.
Yeah, exactly. You know the ins and outs of the arena.
Yeah.
Do you guys get much time during the day to get closer as a group during these road trips?
Yeah, we do. Obviously, on a game day, if game's at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whenever it is, can't be, just sitting around all day. So there's things that we'll go do. So obviously yesterday we had our game at 6 in Kitchener. So we had our breakfast in the morning and then went to the rink for a stretch and to watch some film on Kitchener. And some guys maybe went on the ice if they were. And then had a team lunch, and then obviously guys get their nap in, and then just the bus trips as well. Like, coming home after a big win, it's always a good vibe on the bus, and guys are sitting together, where normally on the way to a game it's guys are focused, dialed in, where we're kind of sitting alone with your headphones on. But after games, it's really fun with the boys.
The Sting recently acquired Sasha Pastujov. Did you guys have to pivot in your game plan there? Because that was almost like a last minute trade.
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, the day before, like, we had no idea. And then it got announced later that night. And then 24 hours later, he was there playing. And I think he finished with 2 points, had a good game. So it was a good debut for him. But yeah, he's a good player, obviously signed, and, a higher pick to the NHL. So it's, he'll be a good add there. And yeah, obviously we changed it a little bit, but there was nothing really to watch on him in Sarnia because it's his first game. So
yeah, exactly. So it's hard to game plan around those types of players.
For sure, yeah.
Getting into a bit of your story here, was there a player growing up who you wanted to model your game after?
Yeah, for sure. There's a few guys. Maybe like when I was younger, I loved watching Mikko Rantanen. A bigger winger like myself. Obviously, that's it's a pretty big name, but now there's other guys, maybe like Val Nichushkin, one of his teammates, or Quentin Byfield, another big name. But yeah, some of those guys I really enjoy watching.
So then how much of your game is based around your size? Because you're like a 6-foot winger.
Yeah, 6'4". So a lot. I mean, it's important, being big on the wall and getting pucks out, chipping pucks out in your own end, and obviously being a force low, protecting pucks in the offensive zone. So D can't, grab it off of you, and just using my body to shield pucks is definitely something I've been trying to input into my game a little bit more coming to the next level. And also, I feel like I'm getting better at that for sure.
Who influenced you to get into hockey?
My grandpa, he ran the rinks where I was from, helped design the rink, he was a manager there. And as well as my mom played hockey as well. So that side of the family. But, my parents definitely didn't push me. It was all came from me and just kind of supported me in what I wanted to do.
Growing up in Cobourg, did you happen to become a Leafs fan?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I was the closest NHL team for me. So,
yeah.
And obviously they've got some studs there. Like, I love watching Matthews as well. But yeah, I've been to, probably 10 games or so, and it's good to watch, them here and there.
It's funny because I live in Toronto. I've always lived in like the London, Toronto area for my entire
Yeah,
life. I've never been to a single Leafs game because of how
really.
expensive the tickets are.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I see all my friends getting to go to Scotiabank, and I'm just here watching the games on TV. I'm just like, dang man, save some of that
Yeah.
money for me.
Yeah.
Before getting to the before getting drafted to the Spitfires, you played for the Quinty Red Devils. How
Yeah.
did they help with your development?
Yeah, for sure. I was there for 5 years. We had a really good coach, Ty Longo, who's now helping coach in the OJHL Junior A for Wellington. He was really good. Definitely helped me complete my game. Definitely playing both sides and just kind of finishing. Little touches heading into my first year in the OHL last year, and especially during the COVID season in minor midget, like 2020 to 2021, that was like
That
didn't
was
really have
brutal
a
for
lot.
you guys.
Oh, it was terrible. Like we didn't really have a lot going, and he made it as fun as possible with some inter squad games where we could, and we were lucky. Like I lived in an area where I actually could, play and be on the ice a little bit. Obviously, not during the Christmas lockdown and
Yeah.
like those big lockdowns where everything was shut down, but during the months of like October, November, February, March, like it was pretty good in that way where we do some inter squad and some practices there with our team. So
Well, because that actually leads it to my next question. I was going to ask about if you struggled with finding any ice during the pandemic, but it's funny because we laugh about it now, looking
I know.
back, right? 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
what
for
what
sure.
kind of society were we living in? But
Yeah. A
it's
little
good
a
that you
little
were,
bit, but
yeah, it's good that you were in an area where you were able to find ice.
I know, yeah, like in the Toronto area, I know it was definitely harder for guys, but in January and December when that huge lockdown, I think that was probably one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. Like I got to spend a ton of time with family
Mhm.
and didn't really see many people at Christmas or on the break or anything from school, but it was kind of nice that way. Like I think, I definitely grew with my brothers a little bit just getting older. And as well, we had an outdoor rink at home. So that was our second year doing it. So that was actually huge because and it was really cold that winter, I think too. So it was great. Like me and my brothers would go down, or some of the boys. There was a outdoor rink on a lake that we lived by, and just getting out, having some fun. But as well, when I'm home, if my brothers aren't on with me, I'll actually like work on things like I would in practice or something like that.
So you must have a pretty big yard then if you're working on stuff that you wouldn't practice.
Yeah, like I think it's like 18 by 36 our rink was. So like nothing great. Like you can't skate, but I just mean like my hands and shooting. Nothing
Yeah,
crazy though.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
it's nice that you were building like the ODR. Obviously, we're coming up to that season, right? We
Yeah,
have the
for
teddy
sure.
bear toss coming up for you guys at
Yeah.
some point. We have ODR season on
Yeah.
the way, so it's definitely the best type of season for hockey.
Yeah, I agree. Winter's the best. Obviously, you got hockey and the things you mentioned.
How would you describe the type of player you are?
Yeah, I'm definitely a smart, bigger player. I like to make plays for myself and my teammates, and I think it's important. Like I said, with my coach helping me play both sides, and I really take pride in playing both sides, being a two-way forward, and I think that's something that'll definitely help me transition and keep growing my game to hopefully be in the NHL one day.
You got drafted fourth overall in the 2021 OHL draft. So let's talk about that. That first round included Barlow, Musty, Allen. What's it like to be drafted in the same round as those guys?
Yeah, those three guys you mentioned are studs. Obviously, they'll be high picks to the NHL this year, and I think it's cool. Like you're growing up against all these guys that you play against in minor hockey, and then you kind of come together, and everyone again is still on different teams, but it's kind of cool. Like obviously, when you play versus Owen Sound, it's like coming up, we play them Wednesday. It's like Colby's going to be there and he'll be doing well. Or in Guelph, like Allen, like you said, or Musty, or even Richie. There's some other, really good players. So it's kind of cool that way that you get to play against guys in like a bigger scenery, I guess, playing, in front of 3,000 fans compared to 300, say.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a different atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure.
And actually, I went to I think all of the games in Hamilton. So I think it
Yeah.
was all four or three of the four in the finals last year.
Mhm.
When Pierce scored that goal in game one, crowd silencer. That was hype.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That was sick. That was like one of our only shifts of the period we scored, so it was so sick. I love that moment.
What do you remember from draft day?
Um, like honestly, it was kind of a blur. I think guys would say the same. Like it was so cool. I kind of had an idea. Like I knew Windsor was gonna take me. I had a good idea, and it was really cool. Just like meeting some of the people online that day, and eventually getting the tour down. But it was cool. I had some family over, and like overall, it was just like one of probably the best days of my life. Getting drafted and seeing some of that hard work pay off, but knowing that like there's still so much to prove and to work on to your end goal, which would be playing in the NHL, like I mentioned earlier.
Obviously, you've competed against Allen Barlow, like you mentioned. Is there a player in the OHL who you find is the hardest to compete against?
Um, that's a really good question. I mean, obviously, I had a few shifts against McTavish last year, and that was crazy. Like he's a man. Like he's like Jack Eye too. Like that team was just full of like studs.
Yeah.
And we were so close to beating them. It's crazy to say that. But yeah, I would say some of those guys, or still in the league now, like Othman. He's the real deal, and he'll be
He's
in the
out of your
NHL soon.
division now.
I know. Yeah, good stuff.
But yeah, like you mentioned, McTavish and Jack, like the entire Bulldogs team there. I was rooting for you guys. I was going
Yeah.
against the hometown.
Yeah.
But like, man, I was like Savard's trusting you to go like up against McTavish and Jack. That was a bit of a bold statement there.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said, it wasn't all the time. We had some really good players as well, like Cools and Johnny, but the odd shift that I'd get out there with them, whether it was with them or whoever, or even just like seeing them play against other my teammates. It was cool to just be in the same environment as players like that.
Also, McTavish looks like 25 years old. He does
Yeah.
not. He does not have the face of an 18-year-old.
Yeah. Like I said, he's a man.
What were you doing when he saved the World Juniors? That was wild.
That like I was speechless. Like it was crazy. Like I saw that happen and I was like, there's no way. And then right away when something like that happens, you're like, okay, they're gonna score now. And then when Kent Johnson scored, it was like, yeah, like I knew it. Because like something happens, it's like what a play. Like that happens, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna turn it around and then they scored. It was just like I don't even like I don't think even he probably remembers that. He's probably like I remember in an interview he was like, did I really just do that or something? Like it was crazy.
Well, we have the golden goal. I'm pretty sure that is the golden save.
Yeah, true.
Because I remember I was at a local bar back in home. I live in Burlington.
Okay.
And there's this bar called QB Sports. And every Saturday night or every Friday night, they host UFC night. So we have the World Juniors gold medal game going up against UFC night. All right.
Yeah.
And they flip the majority of the televisions to this UFC event as the
What?
World Junior. This is in the third period as well of the
No
gold medal
way.
game. I was like, what are you doing? So then the World Juniors game was on like two small televisions
Yeah.
in this entire restaurant. And like, there's my group of friends, kind of like chirping the people who own
Watching
the
UFC.
televisions who kind of
Uh,
flip them. And then there's this other group of people at like near the front of the restaurant. I was at the back, and we're both like, what are you doing? It's the World Juniors.
yeah.
So thankfully, we got to witness the World Junior gold medal overtime because
Yeah.
that was insane. But
Yeah. It was a crazy game.
it's just wild that this restaurant would flip
I
to
know.
UFC when Canada and hockey, like, come on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about your rookie season here. 38 points in 65 games. You really made a name for yourself. Could you speak to the opportunities that came for you? And, once they did, how were you able to run away with them?
Yeah. Obviously being a higher pick to the league, I wanted to come in and make an impact right away. And it was good before, starting in and getting the odd opportunity, say with Wyatt. Like I remember my very first game, I got my first shift with him, which was so cool. Like obviously he's gonna be like a crazy player in the NHL. Like I'm
Yeah,
so
he
excited to see what
is.
he does. And then obviously, if I got the odd opportunity with him later in the season, but after bringing some guys in at the deadline, maybe push me down on the lineup. But at the end of the day, like we had such a good team, and for the run we went on and to be a part of that, like I was honestly like, it didn't matter to me. Like it was my rookie year. Like if I was in my second or third year, it'd be a little different. But I was just like what we did and what we like were so close to doing with that one game, game 7, like we talked about. It was just like, you know what, like I'm in this for the boys, and like I was just so
Yeah.
like trying to be a good like team guy. Obviously, contributed when I can, whether it was finishing a hit or, my role definitely wasn't to put the puck in the net when I was on, when we had guys like Wyatt and Will, but just doing what I could to like get the guys going, being a younger player, whether it was making a joke or just, being a good guy overall in the locker room.
What's it like to have a coach like Mark Savard?
It's crazy. Like, I don't think people actually realize like what he did. Like, he had 2 90+ point seasons, maybe more. He had like 97 in one year and 96 in the other. Like, if you put that into perspective, like last year, that's like, it's just crazy. Like, JT Miller had 90 and
Yeah.
like he's a stud. So, like, it's crazy to think that like he's actually coaching you. And like, I think it's hard to kind of put that into perspective, like I said, just because of how good he was. And like when he tells you something, like he's telling you it for a reason. He's not just saying it to saying it, just like maybe, a different coach, maybe.
Well, it's like the message is being sent because of the
Yeah,
caliber of person he is, right?
yeah, exactly.
He definitely commands a locker room presence.
Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't like our power play wasn't first or second in the league last year for nothing. Like he
Mhm.
was power play specialist and like had so many assists, and he was like, obviously helped our power play and Wyatt and Will rack up points that way, right?
There were rumors after last season that he might be going to the NHL. Did you see like Savard always coming back to coach you guys?
Yeah, like I didn't really read too much into it just because of the year we had, and even when we were playing, stuff was going on, and guys were just trying to tune that out because like no one was worried about that when we're in game 7, right? Like it was
Exactly.
kind of definitely during the summer thought about it where maybe he had interviews with NHL teams or whatever that was, but yeah, I mean, regardless, I mean, he's going to get that opportunity one day, I assume. And if it was in Boston, that'd be crazy for him. But regardless, I think it's cool that, having that high caliber coach and kind of knowing that, he could be on to the next level. So it just makes you want to like take in more stuff from him while he's here, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does make sense. You don't want to waste your time while he's your
100%.
coach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like it's this looming answer that's like, okay, he's going to work his way up. He's going to
Yeah.
the AHL, the NHL, whatever
For
next
sure.
step it
Yeah. Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you take as much knowledge as possible.
For sure. I mean, I hope he's here for the years I'm here to say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You also earned an invite to Team Canada's U18 development camp. Like, what
Yeah.
was that experience like?
It was crazy. It was only like a week, but just being on a big stage like that, obviously all the top guys, I guess, from the country, and some guys that'll be first rounders this year, like Jagger and Benson, um, like Height, like other, Molendijk, other really good players that were on, my team in those games, versus like Canada White, Canada Red. And just kind of like playing those games, like like it's so hard to stand out because everyone's so good. So it's just like it comes down to just like doing the little things right. And but yeah, it was really cool. Just being in that environment with all the best guys, I guess.
So I want to talk more about this playoff run. Did you find that the ice shrunk when you guys were in that playoffs?
What do you mean by that?
Like, how, because I guess what I'm trying to say is
Like
like,
just less time?
yeah, less time with the puck, more board battles.
Yeah.
I guess guys are on you way
Yeah,
more.
I think so. Like, obviously, there's a big difference from regular season and playoffs. I think it's just like the intensity and the want for pucks. Like, um, but yeah, I think so. Especially when you're playing against top guys. Like when we would have Cooley, Johnny, and Maggio versus like McTavish, Hayes, and Morrison. Like I can't even imagine. Like you got no time, and obviously those guys are all smart. So you're making plays at high speed, high pace, like just like quick decisions. So even when I was out versus their like fourth line, like they've like their fourth line was pretty deep. Just like ours was, like when Pierre was playing with me. And you know, like I said, it definitely did shrink a bit, but at the same time, it's hockey, and we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like that's just what playoffs is, and it was really good to get that experience.
In that first round against the Sting, you played your first overtime game.
Yeah,
Were there any nerves going into that frame there?
a little bit. I mean, it was game 5, I believe.
I think it
Um,
was.
so we had the chance to kind of win it, right? Because we were up 3-1. And so obviously I was like it's one goal away, and then we don't have to drive up to Sarnia the next night. But obviously they came out with that win, and then we beat them in game 6. But no, it was like our fans were really behind us during that playoff run.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think
dude. The barn
I
was
don't think
packed.
yeah, I don't think we could have done it without them.
How did you score your first playoff goal? I tried to look for a replay, but I couldn't find one.
It was in game 3, I believe. 3, yeah, game 3 there. It was a 3-on-2. Pierre kicked it out to Jodwin, drove the net. Jodwin passed it over to me, and I just kind of, I guess, shot it, or took a shot and beat Goudreau top left.
It must be nice to get that first playoff goal out of the way.
Yeah. Thankfully it didn't take like a few rounds. Thank God it was only a
Yeah.
few games. But yeah, like I said, I was just trying to contribute where I could with the minutes I was getting, and being a good guy, like I said.
That series against Flint was back and forth, with each team exchanging wins. How would you describe that series?
Um, God, like it's so crazy to remember and like bring back these memories, because like just of how like insane the run was. But
It was.
like Flint, like I mean, what I remember the most, what stands out, is game 6 when we were down 2-0 going into the third, and it was game 6, so we could be going home in 3 days, or like whenever we go home. And like obviously D'Amico, like just in like the hero in like so many elimination games.
Veteran leadership.
Yeah.
He
So
was
like
him.
score. Yeah, he was. He scored. I think he had another assist. I don't know if he had 2 that game, but regardless, just like scoring and then going to overtime and then Parrot, like I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. Like him just coming down and like ripping it past Cavlin, and the violin Sully, and then all the
Yeah,
boys
that was
jumping
so
on.
hype.
Yeah, like it was crazy. And like you said, like silencing their crowd, like it was
Oh yeah.
crazy. I'm literally getting goosebumps talking about this right now. I'm serious when I say that too.
Well, I mean, me too as well, because like I was really rooting for you guys. I interviewed Maggio, Pierre, and O'Flaherty. So
Yeah,
obviously I'm a big Spitfires fan.
yeah,
Getting you on as well. But yeah, talking about this is just nuts. Like the run that you
yeah.
guys went on, and I'm high school buddies with Pierre. So
Okay.
I obviously want him to do well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I was watching that game 6 against Flint, and I'm just like, this D'Amico guy, veteran
No, like,
leadership.
it
He
was
put the team on
crazy.
his shoulders, man.
Yeah, and then game 7 too. Like at home, we had like 6,000 fans. Like it was packed, and like
Oh yeah.
the noise, and like when we'd have on the jumbotron like "Go Spits Go," like I haven't heard louder. Like Hamilton was crazy when we had the games at home. 4 or 3, 4, and 6 was crazy.
Yeah.
But game 7, like Meeks, like he had 2 goals and then scored the empty netter for the hat trick.
Yeah.
Like
It
just
was
the
nuts.
elimination game goat. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, let's actually, getting on to that finals against Hamilton, you guys were down 3-2 going back to WFCU. Did
Yeah.
any past experience play a factor in tying up that series?
I think a little bit, kind of like Flint.
Yeah.
But it was different where we were at home, and we made our the WFCU like a really hard place to play in last year. I think we only lost like a few games at home in the playoffs, maybe, one versus Hamilton, maybe one versus Flint, none versus Kitchener, or maybe they beat us once at home, once Sarnia. Like we in the playoffs, it's tough, like I said, and
Yeah.
we made that place, a tough place to play in, and obviously came on top in game 6, and oh, it was just crazy. Like, there's no other word to use than crazy.
I think I mentioned this to Pierre. I said that it would have been different if you guys were going down 3-2 back to Hamilton. Instead, it was 3-2 going back to your own barn.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, if we had home ice, you mean, kind of?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like if game 7 was at home, oh my God.
yeah.
Like, I think we could have came on top, but we were also like we were out of gas too. Like Hamilton like swept their first 4 or
They
first 3
did.
series.
They're like first 3 series, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like I think there were some stronger teams in the West where we had to kind of get through first, and we just kind of made that, a known presence. And obviously beating them in game 1, I think it kind of like struck them as like, okay, like we gotta kind of dial in a little more. And
I
obviously
think
they
it did as
bounced
well.
back, but I think they were a little bit more well rested just with some time off and not having to play game 5, 6, 7 versus Flint, game 5 versus Kitchener, 5 and 6 versus Sarnia. Like that's an extra 6 games that it's an extra series pretty much that takes it out of you.
Well, also they didn't have to make any. Well, they only had to make 2 trips up to North Bay,
Yeah, no,
right? So you want
one.
to talk about rest? They swept
Only
North
one.
Bay. Oh,
Only one.
right, yeah.
Because they would have stayed over and probably like if they played Saturday and then Sunday off and then Monday, like probably would have stayed in a hotel. That's what we did at least.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to talk about rest? Well, there's like a perfect example of how well rested Hamilton was.
No, like we beat Flint like one day and then legit like 2 days later our series started, or 3 maybe.
It was that was also really weird.
Yeah. Well, it's just because like everything was pushed back and they were trying to cram it in for the Mem Cup to have
Yeah.
time off for that. And like, yeah, I don't know. But it was a good series.
Oliver Peer described you as the team prankster. So I have to ask, what's the go-to prank?
He did?
Yeah, I was talking with him.
When?
Like just a few days ago.
The team prankster. I don't know, maybe just like some sneaky things like
I just exposed you, by the way.
yeah, no problem for all the viewers. I wouldn't say I'm like a prankster. I would say like I definitely do some sneaky things to guys that maybe they wouldn't expect it's me, but I think he does it as well. Like I don't think
I
it's
know,
just
that's
me.
what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, that seems a bit odd because he would have been the team prankster, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe just like there's some easy ones like putting like a water thing under someone's helmet when they pull their thing down, or like
Yeah.
taping a guy's stick up for them, like just not knowing who it is. But like I don't even do that stuff. Like those are just easy ones. I don't know. I think it's like it's weird. It's in the moment and it's like
Mhm.
things you do, and then it's like you laugh secretly. Um I don't even know. I'll get back to that one. Maybe ask me that at the end. I'll think about it.
What was the banner raising ceremony like?
Uh like awesome. We had a good crowd that night versus Sudbury, and just seeing that go up. There were some videos in our team group chat from last year of like Cools and Wyatt and Luca Hanel or other guys moved on, just like of the video, like taking a video of them watching it and kind of just like congrats and just kind of reliving those memories from our successful run or almost successful run, and just the brilliant year we had.
Have you played in any teddy bear toss games yet?
Not on the road. Just last year's home one versus Kitchener. I hit the
That must have been
post.
an introduction
I
to the league.
I hit the post,
Oh, no way.
and like a few teddy bears came on the ice.
Oh, really? Because they thought it went in?
Yeah,
That's hilarious. Hey,
yeah,
the fans are always ready, though.
I know.
Uh, so then my next question is, how come you chose number 19?
I wore 15 all the way growing up. And it was retired in Windsor. So I was like, okay, should I wear 23? And that was also retired. And then 22 was taken by one of my, best friends, DeAngelis.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. And then, 19, I don't know, it's just like a good number. I just thought, fresh start, let's go 19. I don't know, I like it. I really like it now.
What's one arena that you really enjoy playing in?
Like on the road?
Sure. Yeah, because
Like
obviously
obviously,
WFCU is going to be
yeah.
number one.
Um, it's hard to say. Like I haven't really played at every rink yet because last year we only played the West teams because of COVID, and this year I haven't been to some of the rinks. But like London's an obvious answer.
Is there a rink you're really
Um,
interested in seeing then? How about that?
I mean, growing up in Coburg, like I went to a lot of Generals and Pete's games. So I
Yeah.
think to play at home and have all my family there, like that'll be really cool. But I like Kitchener. Like I like playing at the Odd.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Pretty nice environment there. Good ice too.
I assume the arena you dislike, which is my next question, is the Sarnia one. You're just tired of
Yeah, like I don't like hate it. I like to
it.
do well there, but it's just like I've been there so much, you know.
Yeah, which then actually leads me to my next one. You guys play like 9 or 10 times. So is it nice that travel's opened up that you're seeing all these different teams?
100%. Like just already being to Mississauga, Sarnia, other places we haven't been, or Mississauga and Niagara, sorry.
Yeah.
Soon to be like some other places, North Bay, Sudbury, Barrie, like other places that are, just new, I guess, to me.
Yeah, and it's just a nice change of scenery for once.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess yeah, my last question for you would be advice for younger hockey players.
That's a big question. I could go on about this. Like, I don't really think it matters what you do at the younger ages. Like, obviously, you've got to, try other things when you're young. It doesn't always have to be about hockey when you're 10 years old. I think, parents maybe, miss see that or kind of see other ways. But I think, it's important to, put yourself out there and try different things. And obviously you got to do everything well off the ice to do well on the ice. So, just following up with tasks in school or, just having good habits daily. And at the end of the day, like if you really like work hard and put your mind to something, I think you can do it. And I mean, Jack Guy, it's a prime example.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Costco
drafted
worker.
to the O or the NHL, and like what he's done is just crazy. Like that doesn't happen very often. But even if you're drafted to the OHL, like you don't have to be a first or second rounder. If you're a, Noah Morneau, for example, or Pierre, like Pierre was undrafted. Morneau was a 15th round pick, I think. Like those guys, like have worked so hard the past few years to get here now. And it's not like they're here now and they're like done working, like they continue working to develop. And so really just like I said, keep working hard and make sure you're actually enjoying what you're doing and not doing it from the pressure of your parents or, just really enjoy what you're doing.
I'd like to thank again Ethan Miedema for joining on today's podcast. Thank you again, Ethan.
No worries. Thanks for having me.